Welcome back to the backyard. With the birdhouse behind me, I hope we don't have any unfortunate accidents, and I'm glad we're back talking and connecting about community service. This video is about getting started with community service. In a few moments I'll tell you some stories about some amazing student successes, but for now, let's think about, imagine, picture, and get a good feel for what we can do with your service learning project together. As you get started with service learning, the first thing, and it's like a recipe, is to think about what is important for you in the community. And when you just stop and think about what's important to you in the community, it could be something to do with medicine people need. It could be something to do with what children need. It could be something to do with how you can apply your skills and talents, knowledge and abilities to this project. Community service is like a recipe, and as you gather the first ingredient, which is thinking about what's important to you in the community, that's where it can start. That's where it can start to happen for us, to work together to make your project the most it can be for you. The next thing that you can do is connect it with your possible career. What is it you imagine yourself doing? What is it you imagine yourself thriving with? What is it you imagine yourself doing as that training that you're accomplishing in college now allows you to do in the career? That will allow your life to be absolutely thrilled, absolutely fulfilled, and absolutely the most you can make it. Now, if you're just thinking about getting through the class, that's okay. That's a good starting point. And as we move from there to make this an amazing project for you, let's talk about some student success stories from the past. Some examples that can allow you to think about what it is you might want to do with your service learning project. 12 years ago when I first taught this class, there was a man that came in. He had arms as big around as my legs, and he set his motorcycle helmet down on the table, and he wanted to know what this service learning project was about. As we went further along with this recipe, further along in getting the ingredients together, he was talking in a class like we are online, and you will be in a little while with your blue button conversations, about what's important to him in the community. And he told me veterans, of course. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he wanted to work with the VA hospital. That's what he went and did. And he ended up landing his career job and feeling amazing about it with me. He nearly plowed over some people in a grocery store when he saw me years later to give me a hug. That's the type of success story we're hoping for, I'm hoping for, hopefully you're hoping for with this project together. Another woman connected personally. She had some pieces to put together in the past of her life. She had been 21 years old and nearly died of uterine cancer, and a service organization that raised money for cancer patients saved her life. When she presented in class, there wasn't a dry eye in the class, including myself. She had taken some personal pieces of her life, connected it together with what she was doing for a living, which was health prevention, prevention of diseases, prevention of problems in our life, and thriving, striving and thriving for health. Two young men in one class felt a little guilty presenting on their community service. They said, well, we just helped out with sports. Without their help, some of the local sports in schools wouldn't have happened. And they ended up being so valuable as assistant coaches that they were hired as paid coaches, and it was an amazing job for them to do, working their way through college. As you think about your community service, there's several guidelines to keep in mind, so it's a workable project so that we can work on it together. One person said some years ago that they had just joined the Jehovah's Witnesses and they wanted to drive the elders around to deliver Watchtower magazines for their project. Of course, if you have a faith, you're developing yourself, you're developing a larger image of yourself and your place in the world, you should do that. Similarly, someone else said that they wanted to help an elderly neighbor carry their groceries in and shovel their walkway. Those are all things that make you a wonderful Samaritan. For this project, it needs to go beyond theology, beyond good deeds, and be a concerted effort, whether it's a student organization that you form, whether it's an organization that already exists that you join. If you're doing something for a church organization, it needs to have bread in the sense that it can be open to the community. For example, having collecting toys for children that wouldn't otherwise have toys at Christmas. For instance, opening up a spaghetti dinner that you do that's open to the elderly people in the community that would otherwise be isolated, but you brought them together. Those types of things have bread. So if you're working on a faith-based project, you should have faith. Duke University's Center for Health and Spirituality says that if you have faith, you live longer, you do better. Those are all sorts of things that you should do for yourself. Similarly, oddly enough, that includes atheists, because if you have a firmness of conviction and that you're outside of yourself doing better for people, the theological orientation that you have doesn't matter as much as that you're opening up to other people, opening up to the idea of what you can do that will fit in with your career as a student, fit in with your job later. One of the things that you should be thinking about with your service learning project is what it can do for your resume. There are things that you can do for your service learning project that are like gold for your resume that will help getting into competitive school environments later on if you end up doing ongoing university training, ongoing university study, ongoing things within your job environment, because we live in a world now that requires that you do ongoing learning. I have a sneaky goal for you as an educator, and like a lot of educators, the goal is that you take where you're already at, your already great and powerful mind, and you continuously unfold it, continuously unfold it, and continuously unfold it in a lifelong process that's a joyful learning process until the very end. In our next video, we'll talk about the types of things that we've talked about in our Big Blue Button conversations, the types of things that you yourself have thought about and put together and imagined for yourself that might work well with your career. I understand if you're having family obligations and other school obligations. That's why it's only 15 hours. And as we work through this project together, as we connect further and further with this project together, we'll work out the project that works best for you, for what your needs are, and for what will do better for our communities together. For now, let's just begin thinking about those things together. You can email me. We'll have our Big Blue Button conversations where we can talk together and think about the types of things that will work best for you for your 15 hours of community service, and how those things can maximize your life to be the most that they can be. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.